Hi everyone, how are y'all doing? This is a follow-up to me trying to repair my NES video. No, this is not that NES. This is actually another one that I got on eBay. I had already started to unbox it, and as soon as I opened up the packaging, just this big whiff of just stale tobacco came out, and I was like, nope, this is going outside in the garage to air out a little bit. After a few days, I brought it back in, and it still kind of smells, although it's not that bad, but that's why it's in this bag. I'm just trying to contain it. The reason I bought this NES is because I got a good price on it, and I figured I would try to steal its PPU chip. Now, you can see it's a little yellowed. This is more than likely a UV yellowed. This here is more than likely cigarette smoke yellowed. And yeah, it still smells and it's disgusting. But I purchased it because it said it had a blinking red light, games wouldn't load, so took a chance. I figured more than likely it's just the cartridge reader, but it could also be the lockout chip, it could be the VRAM, or unfortunately it could be the PPU chip. It could be anything else too, but I'm hoping that it's actually I don't care if anything works except for the PPU chip, but it would be irresponsible not to test it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it on and see what the seller was talking about in terms of the flashing red light and go from there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test with Dr. Mario, since we know that Mario's sprite on the title screen has some glitches. So we'll just take a look and see. Put the game in, down, and power. Oh, probably should plug in an AC adapter. And let's see if I can't get the B-roll going. Alright, so hopefully the white balance adjusts itself, but it probably won't. But the screen is flashing gray, and the power light is definitely flashing red, so let's try reinserting the cartridge. Same thing. So let's try something. I know this cartridge is clean, but I'm going to spray some IP on it anyway, and I'm going to insert it into the console a few times to try and clean the contacts just in case they're dirty contacts. I know the B-roll camera is shaking because I'm shaking the desk, but not much I can do about that. Still flashing red. The gray screen, though, I don't think I've ever seen that before on an NES. Oh, wait, I got some corrupt graphics there. Okay, so if I insert the cartridge without pushing it down all the way, power light stays solid. Still got a gray screen, though. See if I hold it a little bit in. Well, the flashing light's gone, so it might just be a bad cartridge connector. But just in case, we'll try a copy of Bad Dudes, since I could not get that to work with the Hyperkin system. Oh, I'm getting some helicopters flying overhead. That's kind of weird. So I got some graphics, but the game is frozen. Let's see if I hit reset. Now I get nothing. Now I get a black screen. Let's try with it not inserted it all the way. And I'm getting a picture, and I'm getting no corruption, seemingly. I don't know if the game is working. No, it's working. Okay, so let's try Dr. Mario again, because it's strange that I couldn't get it to work. Unless, of course, they're, whatever's wrong with this is interfering. No, now it's working. And as you can see, Mario's sprite is perfect. And so are the virus sprites on the left side there. So, huh. If this is, in fact, just a bad cartridge slot, I've got a dilemma because I specifically bought this so I could steal the PPU out of it. But if this console is actually working, I'd rather not, steal anything from it. If anything, I'll clean it up and use it as my main console and use the one with the bad PPU chip as spare parts or something. This is dirty, but I can clean it. Hopefully, if I soak it long enough in some soap, I can get rid of the rest of that tobacco smell. But at the very least, we should take a look inside first because who knows what's wrong in there. I mean, there could be all kinds of damage and corruption, or corrosion, I mean, and so we'll get that set up next. All right, so just 6 Phillips screws. You probably already know this. All right, let's see. Yeah, I knew I was going to lose a couple of them, but that's fine. There's 3, 4, 5, so I still have one more. There, 6. All right, let's see what kind of scariness we've got in here. It's not terrible. There've really been some bugs in here. But you can see how not yellowed it is here. Yeah, it's not terrible. Guess I'll finish taking it apart and go from there. At least we'll start with the shield here. If you're going to sell something on eBay and you're a chain smoker, just don't. Or at least warn people. I mean, it's not like someone isn't going to buy it, but I don't want to buy it. I want nothing to do with it, if at all possible. And I know that might sound mean or whatever. I'm not trying to be preachy. If you want to smoke, go for it, but I don't want that anywhere near me. It's just disgusting. It is what it is, though. This isn't in bad shape otherwise. A little bit of corrosion be cleaned up, and cartridge slot is surprisingly clean. Overall, just, a little, probably a pet hair. Looking at the cartridge connector itself, some of the pins are slightly out of alignment, but again, this design was not a good design. I know Nintendo wanted to go with a VCR look to try to help it appeal in the in North America and in Europe, especially since the video game market had pretty much died off at that point, but I still think they should have gone with the top loader, or at the very least not gone with this design like that. They could have just left it that way and be done with it. But whatever. It's Nintendo, you know what they want to do. Can't remember if I can get this removed or not. Probably not, because I think I have to take the rest of it out. These should be the last couple of screws anyway. Get a better look at the board underneath. Yeah, I think there were bugs in here. Well, again, nothing a good scrubbing won't fix. Bottom shield is okay here. Minor corrosion, but again, considering the age of this thing, I'm not surprised at all. Okay, so the board itself looks like it's in okay shape. It's actually in better shape than the other one was. I don't see any real corrosion or anything. There's a little bit of tarnishing, sure, but it's not a big deal. I don't know what the inside of the RF modulator looks like. I rarely take them apart. I hate taking apart RF modulators because the amount of ground plane that they're attached to requires a lot of heat, and I don't have a super fancy soldering station. If I did actual repair work for a living, yeah, I'd have one, but just dried up flux. Might be a little bit of corrosion here. I'll have to clean all of that up. Get rid of these spider legs. So that'll have to be cleaned up for sure. I don't see any other signs of corrosion anywhere else. The capacitors look fine. It's like there's paint on there. That's kind of odd. But the capacitors look good. All the chips look like they're okay. Traces look like they're okay. So my guess is that it's probably just the cartridge slot that's acting up. So I'm going to grab the spare one that I've got. So let's get this off. If I remember how I did it last time. It's been a while since I had to take apart an NES. There we go. Come on. Alright, let me grab the cartridge connector. We'll swap it out real quick and we'll try a game again and see if it works better. Alright, so yeah, just a 72-pin connector for the NES. I picked it up, I think, on Amazon for 10 bucks or whatever. They're usually around that price if you want like a direct replacement. They have another kind. I forget the actual name of it, but it's got kind of like a creative name. It completely replaces the pins with a PCB style option, and it replaces this as well, I believe, and you don't have to like insert the cartridge and push down and lock it in place. You can just slide it in and it'll read it, and it's supposed to be way more reliable. But I didn't want to buy it because it was like 30 or 40 bucks, and I didn't want to put that kind of money into the console just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and swap it out. These things can kind of be repaired as well. There is a technique where you can just boil it in water. You don't want it to get too hot because you don't want to deform the plastic too much. I'm not completely familiar with the process, but from what I understand is that it helps these pins realign themselves and it softens the plastic a bit to help with that. Again, I'm not sure how that all works, but that's one method. The other one you can try is to manually bend these pins and decrease the gap between them to give them a better grip. There. So let's slide this back on. There. Okay, I don't recommend turning it on and everything else disassembled like this, but you know, unless you really know what you're doing. I don't, but I'm gonna risk it anyway because whatever. Of course, I also need the power connector. I'm just gonna plug the player 1 controller port. I don't need the player 2 one. I do need this though. Let me get the B-roll going here. Okay, power. Nope, had the power button pushed in. Oh yeah, but it works as it's fully inserted. No corruption. Let's turn it off. Remove the cartridge, plug it back in again, see what happens. It's got a tighter grip on it. I mean, it's a newer one, so that makes sense. Yep. Let's try Bad Dudes again. The same dog hair keeps... Oh, now I'm getting that gray screen again. And again, I don't have everything screwed in and secured, so it's possible it's just not making good contact. Or it's making too good a contact. Okay, no more flashing, but I'm not getting a picture now. Now, could this just be because of the corrosion? It could just be because something else. Could it still be a bad PPU? It's hard to say. I guess I could desolder it, plug it into the other NES. Okay, corrupt graphics. That's a little better. Could also just be because I don't have everything secured, so things are just unaligning, disaligning. I'm not sure which term to use. But yeah, there's no graphical corruption, at least consistently, just when the cartridge isn't being read correctly. So more than likely, the PPU chip on here is probably good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of it all apart. I'll do it off camera because what I want to do is get the plastic soaking, get rid of that tobacco smell, hopefully. I also want to clean the board a little bit with some IPA and just scrub it a little bit and see if that doesn't improve things a little bit further. So we'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attempt to desolder the RF modulator just because of the fact that I really want to take a look at this capacitor here. Wow, even after cleaning with IPA, there's all this corrosion left on here. Yeah, I definitely need to take this off and clean it further. Looks like the IPA exposed it. In fact, some of the traces here, I don't know if you can see, are definitely exposed. So, might be problematic. We'll see. Alright, the soldering iron and the soldering gun are both set to 350. Hopefully that'll be enough. I really don't want to have to crank it up higher, but hard to say. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some flux to everything. Of course, my biggest concern is going to be these two tabs here because they're attached directly to the ground plane of the PCB, so that should be fun. Future Costech here. The next, I don't even know how long the rest of the footage is going to be because I have over 3 hours recorded altogether. But I'm just going to interject here and say that the way I end up desoldering the RF modulator is not the way you should probably do it. The way I did it is kind of destructive in a way, as you'll see. There's a better method that I'll explain towards the end of the desoldering session of the RF modulator, just so you can avoid the same mistake that I'm about to make. So, continuing with the video. Apply some fresh solder first, just to make it a little easier to desolder later. In fact, I'm going to turn the desoldering iron up. Do it 410. So, of course, I do have a 100 microfarad at 10 volt. Actually, 16 volt, but that's fine. You can go higher in voltage. I have a 1 microfarad 50 volt exactly, 100 microfarad 25 volt exactly, but I do not have a 2200 microfarad 25 volt. The highest voltage one I have is 16, and I have a ton of them for some reason. So I'm going to have to order. I'll probably order a few of these 2225s because they'll be good to have anyway. I'll have to get those ordered, or maybe I can run down to the local electronics store. Probably not today because it's already late and it's closed. So I'll probably have to try tomorrow. Maybe I could sneak out on my lunch break or something. I mean, I work from home, so it wouldn't be too difficult. My main concern, let's see if I can focus here, is going to be... There's a pointing stick here. One of these pads here might have removed from the... Let's see if I can adjust the light a little. There, that's a little better. So this, from one of the capacitors, a pad may or may not have been lifted. Not that I can't bodge it next to it to wherever it goes, but because of all this corrosion that's here, I mean, you've got this little, I'm guessing it's a capacitor there. You've got some other capacitors, resistors that are just, you know, covered in corrosion. This can be cleaned here. This I'm concerned with over here. And again, that pad, again, if it's just that pad, it's probably not that big of a deal, but if I can't get this corrosion clean, it's not going to matter very much. It does not look like the large capacitor has any corroded or screwed up pads, but then again, because this leaked, I can't trust that the rest of these are good. These smaller ones here, though, are probably okay, although I do have, I think, 16 volt, 10 microfarad. Yeah, I've got these anyway, so I'll probably just replace them too if I go that route. We will see. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and do some search online and see if I can, where I can get a replacement modulator, if I get one of the newer ones, or to order some of these caps. Actually, I'll probably order the caps anyway. So I don't know if I'm going to release this as a second part to the repair, if I'm just going to wait. Maybe I'll just wait. We'll see. But at the event that I do release this as a part 2, that'll be it for this video. I know it was not very exciting, and a little bit of a heartbreak, I guess we could say, because of the half damaged pad here and 2 here. But again, these don't really matter. They're just for extra stability to keep the RF modulator in place. But with these here, I'm not worried about that at all. It's this one here, and as long as there's enough left on there, we should be okay. If not, I can always bodge it down. It looks like, well, I'll have to trace it out and find out. But yeah, so yeah, if you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Feel free to subscribe, but never any obligation. Leave some comments below if you have any suggestions or ideas on how I can utilize my 65-watt soldering iron and desoldering gun to be able to do this in the future, because I don't want to have a repeat. I probably should have tried desoldering with the gun and the iron on the other side at or lower temperature. I mean, combining the two, so it'd be 130 watts total. Maybe that would have been enough. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you have any comments or suggestions, leave them below. Otherwise, I will catch you guys later. Future Costech here again. Here's a short clip on a tip on possibly removing the RF modulator a little safer. Apparently there's another method to desoldering the RF modulator and power control module. You still have to desolder the tabs off of the board here because you just have to. However, desoldering these pins is much more easier to be done if you do it from the top of the RF modulator itself instead of doing it from the board. So especially since the actual solder points are here and not necessarily here. In case you ever do this in the future on your own, try it that way first. Desolder these tabs, desolder these pins, and you should be good to go.